Welcome to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. Of course, I'm your host, JJ Kitchen. Guys, we're back like we never left. Got a whole bunch of new equipment, spent a lot of money, but it's worth it. And it's really good to have you guys back in here for another episode after a couple weeks off. But I'll tell you what, in the last couple weeks, there's plenty to discuss. And of course, Eric from the Bird Cave will be in here tonight to talk about a little bit about the news. But obviously, we talk a little bit about the right size in the stadium. We talked about that before. Also, too, pretty crazy stuff out here tonight. Kansas State fires and mutually agrees to get rid of their head coach. Pretty crazy circumstances right now. Roughly about an $18.75 million buyout. If I'm a betting man, I can guarantee you that will be certainly brought down from there. And then we'll also talk about a number of different things. Allen Greene, the letter to the Pitt fan base. We'll talk more about that. And obviously, a number of different things that happened during the week. And a Noah Hiles article that recently dropped. I had been very supportive in Heather Lyke when it came to a lot of facility upgrades. But I was very critical of her when it came to the NIL aspect of it. But more importantly, revenue generation and the actual business side of things. I know Pitt fans are very upset with me roughly about, about 6 months ago, calling me a hater for Heather Lyke. But as we are here today, the news is true, and now it's really starting to come out that the absolute mess that Heather Lyke left us behind, and Allen Greene has to clean it up. And so far, we'll go over a lot of things that he's done to this point in terms of turning around the athletic department, obviously restructuring the entire executive group of the athletic department. We'll go over a bunch of that stuff here tonight. Plus, as always, we'll go into a lot of the questions here from the live Q&A. We'll do a lot more on that. Again, if you guys want to get your question above everybody else's here tonight, remember, the Super Chat button is down below. Use the Super Chat button to get your question to the top. We'll always read the Super Chat questions first. And, of course, if you've not done so, like and subscribe. Don't be a hoe. Share the show. That's the fee here, guys. Remember, like this video. It helps out with the algorithm. And, of course, we're on our road to 2,000 subscribers. Make sure you guys subscribe. And, of course, at the end of the show, we'll talk about the next Pitt meet and greet. So we'll talk more about that. But before we get into it here, as always, this show is sponsored by one of the best, Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Tremendous people. Tonight, we're going to be sipping on the gluten-free Fruit Punch Happy Dad, the seltzer that you can get there at Colonial Beer. Bill and Alan are truly two of the best. Anytime you can help out a small business in the city of Pittsburgh, it's the best thing you can do. Here in the South Hills, especially here in Bethel Park, make sure you guys go see Colonial Beer, located at 4986 Library Road in Bethel Park, PA, 15102. Tremendous Pittman season ticket holders and men who really help out at the Pitt Athletics and certainly do a lot of great work with donations as well. The show is also sponsored by another one of the best, Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson. Call them today at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. The thing about Brian is he'll guide you in the process from beginning to end, and it's all about relationship-based. Unlike the larger law firms, he cares about you, the individual, and knows you by name and knows you personally. He'll guide you the process from beginning to end, getting you the results that you need. If he doesn't have the answer to one of your questions, he'll put someone in front of you that does have that and make sure he guides you from the process from beginning to end. Brian has a great family, comes a great family, a tremendous father, husband, but more importantly, does a lot of great work in the community along with helping out his family. So make sure you guys go see Thompson Law Group with Brian Thompson. Again, call them today at 724-799-8404 or visit them at thompsonattorney.com. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Guys, let me know if that worked. Appreciate you guys. Obviously, pretty crazy stuff. Pretty crazy as we're already getting started, but we got to have our guest come on here on stage immediately here, and that's Eric from the Bird Cave. How are you, brother? We're back. We're back like we never left, brother.
Did you get all of your technology stuff figured out, brother?
Oh, brother, we spent thousands of dollars on this shit. I can tell you that. And just getting everything delivered here was certainly something Pitt fan held a P. The hat. Yes, got this at the Peterson Event Center. Went to one of the went to a couple Pitt basketball games, the most recent one at Duke, and picked up this hat. Obviously, I got a ton of the royal blues, got a ton of the white hats, and then I eventually just saw this there. I'm like, you know what? I don't have any like the blackout gear, so I figured I'd get this in there
nice.
as well. So pretty nice. Pretty cool to get that, which was really cool. Two, one here. 4, 5. Okay, we got it there. Cool, good stuff. That is pretty funny overall, guys. That is hilarious. Pretty cool stuff here. WRW Pitt. A number of great questions in here. The FSU athletic department is about $450 million in debt. The Penn State athletic department is about $500 million in debt, which is pretty crazy. How much debt is Pitt athletics department in? Pitt is in the red. We don't know how much they're in the red because they don't disclose all of their financials. I know we have a couple people online that think they know it, but they are in the red. I can tell you that. I think that everybody who is, who I've talked to especially talks about it. Is it that much? Certainly not that much. Obviously, Pitt would be in there, especially too with the upgrades with, Victory Heights. A lot of those projects are going on. So we'll talk more about that. Again, appreciate you guys all being here. Lou, nice swag. JJ, thank you, Lou. Obviously, always being here as well. Pretty cool stuff here. Pitt fan, Hail to Pitt. I got to meet Bruce and probably meant Cruz. Yeah, there you go. Cruz and Boozy Turner at the Duke game. Cool dudes. You love to hear that. We'll talk a little bit about the roster. And with all this stuff going on here, we might even do a little bit of Eric's breakdowns from a number of videos he said in the past, especially from the Notre Dame football game, and looking at a number of great throws that Mason Heinchel had and what we look forward to. Mason Heinchel going from that true freshman now to a true sophomore, what we expect this year and what he can truly be and develop into. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. All right, we'll go into a number of different things here first, and we'll get to all the super chats here, guys. I know they're coming in now, so we'll get to that here in a second. But the first one on the docket, and I kind of want to get to Eric here first and just talk a little bit about, the right sizing of the stadium, which, Pitt will move to, 52,000 seats, in capacity, really tarping off both upper decks on both sides, but leaving the upper deck open on the closed side for the away fans, and then really more of it, 3/4 of it is really for the student section, along with the bottom portion of the bowl as well. Eric, when you look at what Pitt has done in terms of, right sizing this thing correctly, and one, I personally agree with it because one, you want to build that demand first and then build it out from there. Pitt was, I think, third in the ACC in terms of capacity at 70,000, along with the standing room. Now bringing it down to 52,000, it puts Pitt at number 9 in the ACC out of 17 schools. So right there in the middle with a number of schools around the country, like in Indiana and Oregon. We've seen other schools that are really in that current number of like 50,000, 52,000. I think, in North Carolina, Chapel Hill, they're at 50,500. So you're right there in terms of the middle of the ACC. In your opinion, when you think about this and this move, and I give a lot of credit to Allen Greene, but when you look at this move, do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it make sense to you? What are your initial thoughts on it?
I like it, and here's why. There's been a few episodes. I've said this on social medias and then talking to Pitt fans, even prior to joining you on your pod as well. And I remember talking about this a while ago on yours as well. I was a fan, and I wanted the back middle section tarped off, right? Just put like a big Pitt banner on it or something, or a big JJ Kitchen banner on the back of it, whatever you want to put on there. It is a necessary move, I think, to recreate the buzz, the demand. I'm sorry, it is an eyesore on the TV whenever you see scattered seats that are available. It is an eyesore when you're at the game. My wife and I were at a game a few years ago against Cincinnati. That was actually a great game. I mean, Pitt lost the game, unfortunately, but it was a great game. And there was 50, I think, I want to say it was 52,800 some, or 52,900 some fans in the stadium. And we were sitting in the 500 sections. And the stadium looked empty because everybody's just scattered. If they're pushing everybody down, selling out the seats that are right near the field is going to create that environment that Green was talking about. It's going to create the crowd noise. It's going to create a little bit more intimacies, I believe he was using that word. And And I like it because here's the deal. A lot of us that we're talking about, oh my God, I'm putting my hand down. We're talking about, when you said there was rumblings of a stadium in Oakland somewhere that they were looking at around that 50,000, 45 to 55, right? Whatever the number is between. So they're okay with that being in that stadium, but they're not okay with it being at the current stadium that costs $0 to do.
Exactly.
It does suck because it looks like they're kind of like admitting defeat on certain things, like, on the attendance. But let's face it, it is. I mean, Pitt's not going to sell out that stadium unless there's Notre Dame, West Virginia, Penn State, or even when I was there for the Tennessee game, the Bartholomew Hurdle game, right? There was a lot of people there, but that wasn't a sellout. And in Tennessee travels well too. So you have to look at the facts. And I think it's something that had to be done. I would like to think that if they were to renew Penn State or West Virginia, that they would open them up for everybody, but we'll see.
I would agree. And I think when that time comes, to your point, I'm really good with it at this point. I think that majority of people understand what the situation that you're in. You look around college football right now, a lot of schools are really having issues in terms of trying to add premium seating to all of their stadiums. A lot of schools right now are actually bringing down their capacities. We're seeing across college football to begin with. I think it's right sizing the stadium to the right actual number. And I get it. There's going to be people that are upset who have had those tickets up on the upper deck for years, if not decades. But this is the right move to where you're starting to right size it. And I really do believe, and again, I've been told this, but I think it is that right sizing to where they're doing a lot of different things to where you're starting to get towards that 20, 30 year in terms of what does that potentially look like? Do they have their own space? What does that actually look like, whether it's on campus or off campus? It'll certainly be a very interesting discussion to see what actually happens there. But, I give Allen Greene a lot of credit because we've seen athletic directors in the past who really talked about making changes, but they never did. And I personally believe, especially up top, Allen Greene talked about it with working with the Pittsburgh Steelers, that the Tarps will have sponsorships on them. It will drive millions of dollars of revenue to the Pitt football team and Pitt athletics. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you have to do something. It's either, do you keep it open? Do you let those seats just sit there? And it's okay. I mean, it's great. We had those games sometimes where the average attendance last year at Pitt was 54,200, something like that. But, this allows it to be a driver to where you're starting to create more demand. Now, the more demand's there and people want to buy more tickets, I am certainly sure they will sell single tickets up in the upper deck, which is totally fine. I think it's the right thing to do. I think at the end of the day, regardless, you have to look at it and say, they're trying to change something. They're trying to build that demand. But obviously, when you think about demand, it comes down to winning football games. You can't be going 8-4 or 7-5 most years, and obviously having a collapse at the end of the year with their bad losses or in contention. But I also have heard a lot of fans talk about, well, when we were one game away, if we beat Miami, we are in the AC title game. So I mean, there is a lot of things moving in Pitt's direction where you say, okay, hey. They're at least changing things. They're trying to drive more revenue, millions of dollars and more revenue. So I do understand it. And I do give Allen Greene a lot of credit. I've talked to numerous people. There's a lot more information coming out, especially in terms of the actual growth of donations to the athletic department. I've said it before, and that kind of stuff starting to come out now. I think there's an article that was out about, not even just the Pitt football side of things, but just in terms of donations in general, they were up. And again, we talked about that before on the podcast here. We've said he's done a good job in that range. But now after 15 months, he regrouped. He brought all different people into the executive group from University of Tennessee, from Ole Miss, from Notre Dame. He's brought the elite level people in here, and now it's in terms of executing that plan. He talked about that in a number of different interviews with Channel 11, WTAE, that I actually got to watch. Hearing those plans, but understanding that you got to change something. You have to do something overall to create those environments, and also to generate revenue. I think he looked at it from a standpoint of, hey, if we're not going to sell those tickets, let's create a generation of revenue driver, which, again, you look back in the old days, the Oakland Raiders had tarps. The UCLA certainly uses tarps in their arenas. They're too big of places for those schools. It makes sense. And I think I'm okay with it in terms of being able to drive revenue. That's why I'm okay with it.
And let's think about this. This wasn't a decision they made. They woke up one day and just said, hey, let's just tarp off this, and that's that. They went through, I would like to believe that they went through a number of different scenarios, what ifs, things of that nature. It wasn't an easy decision by any stretch, but I believe it was the right decision, and we'll see. I mean, let's see what happens. Are these atmospheres going to be crazy this year? And we'll see.
I agree. And then another one here. I think when you look at Pitt Cincy, sold out in 2009. I agree. During the Dave Wanstead era, that final game was for the Big East title. It's done it in the past, but I think to people's point, you got to be able to start really producing more. And that's why, I really do believe that this is a hot seat season for Pat Narduzzi. This is a major year for Pat Narduzzi. Does he retire? What does that look like? There's certainly been a lot of conversations around that in terms of the coaching world. So it'll certainly be something to watch as we go forward. Let's see here. Looking at a number of comments here. What will they do when the Notre Dame's come to town and remove the tarps? The answer to that one's yes. I mean, they will remove it, but I think nobody between West Virginia and all those schools, they don't come to the Acrisure Stadium till 2029, from my understanding. So you do have time in those aspects of when that could possibly look like it. Concern with downsizing is what will happen with high-profile non-con games. We'll remove the tarps. Yes, we will remove the tarps.
What's nice about the tarps, you can move them.
I know. That's the beautiful thing. You can always take them off. It's not like, and Allen Greene did mention that as well. I thought it was a pretty good comment. He's like, it's not like we're tearing down the upper decks. We're just tarping it. You know what I mean? If we can have revenue there, that's something we're certainly going to do.
Yeah.
Trusting Gable and Green still know the importance of athletics as the front door momentum on the academic side. Let's keep the athletics bar raising high. Serious discussions need to be had. I agree. And, there's a conversation. I know people were certainly hitting me with, a good comment here from Lou when he solves a lot of issues. I agree. A conversation was had with me, which, over this past week, we saw a number, probably hundreds, if not thousands of comments about, the discussions around, Jeff Capel. What does it look like after the season, where the majority of people said he's going to be back? There were some articles, I guess, that were out that were saying, money would be taken from football to go to basketball. From people that I've talked to, they pretty much laughed it off. They thought it was pretty funny that they even considered that. The understanding was, what I was told from people that I talked to, is that conversation was had in a circle around just Pitt basketball people and people who are around the basketball program. But overall, that is not going to happen. It was never going to happen. They said Allen Greene truly understands that football is the driver, like any other university. It is unfortunate people don't want to hear this, but football and basketball are the drivers, and it is rare in the term and of the sense that football and basketball are good in a lot of these universities. You look at Oklahoma right now, who's just in the college football playoff. Their football team is an absolute travesty. UConn, I thought that was a crazy thing today. UConn, which they had a good football season this year, notoriously since they've stayed in the Big East or went to independency, they had a lot of issues before Jim Mora in terms of having a successful program. They've really been in a major issue there, besides it's really these past couple of years under Jim Mora, who just left to go to Colorado State. But UConn didn't even sell out their stadium. Their basketball arena the other night, their arena, Pitt's arena holds between 12,500 to 13,000. And then UConn's arena only holds roughly 10 to 10,500 is from what I was told. And they had a major issue with the student section not showing up, having a number of different sections that were certainly open number of seats. We certainly saw a bunch of that. It's pretty crazy overall, but it's just the way college sports are going. A lot of people are starting to have that fatigue, but I think that, for Pitt to be really invested and serious in what they want to do in these next 5 years, which I've called it a critical 5 years in athletics, you need to really prove yourself. I've said it before. Again, from people that I've talked to, there's been no conversation that has said, Jeff Capel will be back 100% next season. There's certainly a conversation around who will be involved there. I think some larger donors are involved about potentially making a move. We're going to find out here, which, 5 games only remaining. We're probably going to find out here in the near future, within the next month, about the future of Jeff Capel. And for me, I understand that we have a great class coming in. I think I've talked to enough people to know that there's probably one. I think the lowest recruit Pitt has in this upcoming class will be dropped from the classes, from what I'm understanding, because they want to make more room for the transfer portal. I think the majority of the roster will be overturned. I think Cialepa will be back. And I know, Eric, this may be foreign to what, obviously not watching a lot of, Pitt basketball. there's a lot of different people out there that think, there's going to be really 3 guys that come back next year for Pitt basketball: Cialepa, Witherspoon, and Dunning. And then you have these 2 guys coming in from the class. And then, you got 5 guys right there. You might go out and get 7, 8, or 9 guys from the portal. I've said it before. I think, Jay Kuntz is a really good GM for Pitt. I think he's going to be a really good job overall, a great hire. St. John's certainly tried to get him back a couple of times. He was approached recently from another school. It's going to be certainly something to watch. That is, there's no doubt about it. But the fact that, is Jeff Cable 100% returning next year, I would say no. From anybody that I've talked to, that conversation has not happened. But that's a little bit of update on the Pitt basketball side. But
I think you have to say he's coming back next year for right now. It's something it's like, there's that term coach speak, but I also think there's media speak as well too, because you have to at least demonstrate some stability on it. You can't sit there and say for the rest of this year, and you're a program that operates in lame duck coaches. You know what I mean? You can't give off that persona. Whether, like you said, they might already be looking for his replacement if they're going to do that, but publicly they're going to say one thing: you can't have this chaos, if you want. I know we had some people here that want to make examples out of coaches and such, just for whatever reason. But you have to at least put on the front of a stable program, and I think that's what they're doing by saying Capel will be back.
I agree. And of course, to your point, we've talked about it to what you were saying there, Eric. You're never going to go out and bash your coaches, because other coaches see that, they certainly wouldn't want to work for you. That's what you want to hear. Hey, he's returning. I think Allen Greene was pretty direct in terms of saying they did not hit the mark this year. They did not hit our level of expectation per the investment. Those conversations are certainly being had. I know Pitt fan hail to Pitt, heard some rumors about Cummings. The things I was told about Cummings is that he's supposed to enter the transfer portal from a number of different people that I've talked to. That's what they're alleging right now, is that he's going to hit the transfer portal at the end of the year. It is what it is at this point. I think Pitt needs to start going in another direction where you start bringing up more guys and more talent. But in my opinion, I still believe that Pitt should make a move when it comes to the head coaching hire for Pitt basketball. And I think there's been enough time. Do I agree that Jeff Capel, the most of the years, has not had the top end resources? 110%. This first year, Allen Greene has really given guys the resources, to say the least. Especially going into next year's season for Pitt basketball, millions of dollars will be put to towards a test in terms of paying for players. The same thing goes for Pitt football. But both of those guys, in my opinion, Jeff Capel and Pat Narduzzi, should be on the hot seat. If Jeff Capel comes back for another year, it should be it. If you don't make the tournament, you shouldn't be coming back as the Pitt basketball coach. But I think to rejuvenate Pitt basketball, if you did get rid of Jeff Capel and he went, Jeff Capel and Pitt went their separate ways, I think this would just truly, really reinvigorate the Pitt fan base in terms of driving more ticket sales and driving more season tickets for them. But we'll see what happens there. But the next thing that's up here, I thought an article came out, and some people are giving me the skinny on it pretty much, but it's certainly stuff that we've talked about on here before. The Heather Lyke debacle, and it's a big year for Allen Greene because he's in charge of really cleaning up this mess. The lack of negotiations, the lack of knowledge when it came to negotiations that Heather Lyke really showed. Whether it's 90% that's owed to Jeff Capel, allegedly 100% of a buyout that's owed to Pat Narduzzi, but the overall, the overall denial about NIL, and I've said it before, I retweeted my tweet from what I think it was like September of last year, thanking Alliance 412. Without them, we would never went to the NCAA tournament. We would never held all these number of players here at Pitt for all these years, while they've really been keeping everything up to this point. I think it's truly important to say how important Alliance 412 was when you think of Chris Bickle, you think of John Pelusi, Jeff Goldberg, all these guys that you look at and say, okay, hey, they did the job they were supposed to, and the team, overall, the whole entire organization, Alliance 412. But it was pretty crazy to hear, from other people finally come to me and say, hey, what you were saying was right. There was clearly no buy-in to Alliance 412. They certainly did not want to do anything with anything with NIL. Just Heather was that old school, Eric, to the point where she didn't believe in it. I think the question I want to ask to you, Eric, is when you look at Pitt moving forward, there's clearly a driver with Allen Greene really enforcing NIL and enforcing revenue and really trying to find ways to create revenue opportunities. Do you think that's important for Pitt right now? And how much of an urgency do you believe that there should be? Hey, we're here in 2026. We got to start generating more revenue in terms of now creating that business model, as Allen Greene has said.
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel, and again, he's not looking for any sympathy or any seeking any comfort, if you will, to use a Tomlinism. We're still going to use those, by the way, even though he's gone. There needs to be the emphasis on fixing that, and I believe the revenue generation is twofold. It's obviously to continue to field teams in football and basketball, but it's also, I'm of the belief of, and again, you and Harry would know a lot better than I, even some people here in the chat. I believe that Heather Lyle's contracts with Capel and Narduzzi are a little bit more of an issue than we even think, than anybody thinks. And I think there's a reason nothing has really happened yet. I want to know is there any boundaries from the Pitt administration or any school administration when you give out contracts like this? It seems like she was operating kind of rogue. I don't know if any other schools have these contracts like this, because it does seem that other schools are able to get out of these contracts with buyouts. Now, granted, some schools do have more money, but there seems to be some other handicap that's prohibiting Pitt from taking 2 steps forward versus taking the 1 step forward, because I do think to go forward, Pitt needs to take a step back, reevaluate some things, kind of like rebuild a foundation, like you're talking about a business plan. And just with that happening, you're having college athletics kind of reform itself, right? You're starting to come out with all these schools now that are in debt and everything because of other things. I think it's a pretty tough position. I do think the Pitt fans, as much as we want to be able to say we got to compete now, it's now or never with Pitt. I think in the realistic terms this might be a few years, and I'm thinking maybe like 2 or something like that. I don't know. That Pitt has to reset themselves to move forward. I think there's a lot of behind the scenes things that are happening in the business sense, and I'm a little bit more patient maybe than most to let this thing kind of play out. But I also understand the frustration. You want to win now.
I agree to your point that you want to win now, and I think that's a great approach overall from the other side of it to say, hey, give it a little bit more time. There was another comment in here that I wanted to show to give to Eric here. I thought was a good one. If I can find it here, not that one. Not that one. Yeah, here we go, Hutch. I'd like to see Narduzzi retire and Pitt go all in on Mike Shanahan, the offensive coordinator, Indiana, Pitt wide receiver from 2009, 2012. Yeah, I think when you look at Pitt football right now, I think that just seems to be the most ideal situation in terms of an absolute fit. He'll now be in his 3rd year at Indiana. He's going to be, he's certainly being compensated. Not at the head coach level, but in terms of offensive coordinators in college football, he is certainly being paid. But he's been with Curt Cignetti, Eric, for over 10 years. He was with Curt Cignetti at IUP. He was with Curt Cignetti at Elon. He was with Curt Cignetti at JMU. Now he's with them at Indiana. He's clearly been his right-hand man. He has worked his way up from an analyst to a wide receiver coach to a pass game coordinator to now offensive coordinator for really over the past 5 to 6 years, and has been elusive in terms of coaching teams with not the most talent. I think when you look at Indiana last year, and I think we talked about this on the show, Indiana didn't have the most talent, but they were certainly the better coached teams and the most disciplined teams. Lack of penalties, lack of procedure penalties, lack of anything that could be outside, hitting someone out of bounds, any flagrant calls, anything like that. I think that you looked at Indiana, they certainly were able to be disciplined in what they were asking in terms of assignment and technique. Look at the front, for instance, the prime example, the defensive front for Indiana, their defensive line, their 2 top players were 6 foot and 6'1", at the defensive end, defensive tackle position, a lot like what Pitt wants to do. The notorious, Pat Narduzzi defensive end is roughly 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" in that range. But they love those athletic guys, a little bit smaller, 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2" at the defensive tackle position. Do you think that when you look at Pitt, and Hutch had a good comment here too about, Narduzzi talking about 2 to 3 more years. That was 2 to 3 years ago about possibly retiring. But do you think that it would be a home run hire if Pat Narduzzi retired after this year? Would it be a home run hire if they got Mike Shanahan, a national championship offensive coordinator in Indiana? Would that be a great hire as a former Pitt guy? But also, you look at the resume, it's pretty damn good.
100%. Actually, he is the only guy that I would want, and I would not want any other candidates until he's eliminated via he turned down Pitt, or he's, or staying in Indiana, or he's elsewhere. And here's why. If you listen to the interviews that Cignetti has done, I think he did it on the podcast with Urban Meyer and the Alabama running back, his name is Mark Ingram, and things of that nature. I like what he said. He doesn't do long practices, right? Yes. He does the walkthroughs Mondays and Fridays. When he gets on the field, he's an hour and 40. Right? He doesn't make the coaches stay long hours. You go home whenever you get your work done. Obviously some coaches may stay longer depending on what they need to do. That is a model that is different. So if Pitt is reinventing themselves in the football field in the program, that is somebody you go after. Bruce Arians was very successful with that model too. He has a famous quote of, I forget who he was talking about. Well, some of his coaches were saying, that they were having a baby or a kid's graduation. If it was like a kindergarten graduation, he goes, if you miss that graduation because of football, I'm going to fire you. You need to be able to go and do things outside of this office. I do think the living, breathing, sleeping at the office, coaching and things like that is really not a good model moving forward. When you are in the building, when you are on the field, you're 100% dialed in and focused. What does that do? That also breeds discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That discipline then translates to the practice field, the coaching staff. That discipline translates to the game day field. So I think for all of those reasons, because now he's being brought up with Cignetti, it doesn't hurt that he's in another year with them.
Yeah,
I think it's a home run hire. He's a home run hire for anybody, let alone just Pitt. And I sure as hell hope he comes home and coaches Pitt, because I do think he is the right man to lead this team next year or whenever that may be. Yeah. I do think it has to happen next year, though. By the way, because I think he's a head coach next year somewhere.
And to your point, I do agree with that. I think that you have really one more year left to go after him before he accepts another job somewhere else, and that's up to Pitt. But before I comment more on it, Dewey, I genuinely can't believe we are giving our football NIL to Jeff and Kuntz. Dewey, from talking to numerous people, I know there was an article somewhere that dropped about taking money away from Pitt football. From the people that I talked to, that was a conversation with just around, the basketball program, people who are overseeing the basketball program. But I can tell you right now, from people that I talked to, that is not true. That is what I was told from 3 really good sources that said that Allen Greene understands that football is a revenue driver. He understands that. He would not be taking away funds like that. I think that maybe that the people that were talking about that in those circles wanted that to happen or felt like it needed to happen. But from people that I've talked to, I don't believe that. And I think that from hearing it from enough people, they don't believe that. So, again, we'll see what happens. But I think that from the sources I talked to, they said that's not true, which is a really good thing to hear. But we'll see. Hey, there are good reporters out there that are good contacts out there. But just from people that I've talked to, they said that's not true and that will not be happening.
Good.
But to Eric's point, I think that you have to make a move next year because you have to get a younger guy, and forget even the portion of a younger guy, get a guy that's experienced in turning a program around in terms of working side by side with a guy like Curt Cignetti, who took an Indiana program who statistically was the worst football program in the history of college football. I think number 2 was Iowa State. Matt Campbell deserves a lot of credit for the good stuff he did there. Certainly never won a national championship, never won a Big 12 title, but he did a great job at Iowa State and certainly leveling up Iowa State. But, man, Curt Cignetti, what he's done in 2 years is unprecedented. And at the talent level that he brought in, numerous amounts of guys from JMU, holdovers from Indiana, the current roster, Tulane, a number of different guys in the group of 5, some P4 transfers. Just a really good job coaching by him. And if you can get a guy that's been with a guy like Cignetti for so long, I really do believe Mike Shanahan could be that guy that really rejuvenates and reinvigorates this fan base in terms of bringing it back. And again, it's going to come down to a very tough discussion. I can promise you that, because Pitt really needs to make that move when it comes to a decision. And Yinzerel, who's a great supporter of the podcast here and a great supporter of the Bird Cave, schools have to grow a backbone and start changing the contracts so the underperformance is firing for cause. How is it okay to be bad at your job and still collect a paycheck? That's because just what, it's a contract, brother. I mean, at the end of the day, I think, to your point, Heather helped to make those contracts, but also too, the board of directors and the trustees also agreed to it as well. So they're on the hook there as well. I think they put a lot of faith in Heather and it was clearly the wrong way to go. But when you are in the midst of a major debacle, in terms of a major miss of the football program or the basketball program is not going to where you want it to be, and it's been a long enough duration, Pat Narduzzi going into year 12 as the head football coach at Pitt, Jeff Capel going into year 8 or year 9 at the University of Pittsburgh. If it's not working into where it's just really as bad as it is right now, I think it's justified to make a change. To give breaking news here, for people that don't know, I just got a report here from X on here right now.
Uh-oh.
Sources confirmed to On3 that Kansas State is firing Jerome Tang for cause. The assistant head coach, Matt Driscoll, is viewed as a top option to be interim head coach. Obviously, they're trying to say they're firing for cause, which means that the buyout would be zero. Right now, that the buyout is around $17.57 million, which I think is toward the top, if not the highest buyout in college basketball history. But if they're firing for cause, they would certainly own nothing. So there's certainly going to be a lot of discussion around that in terms of what that looks like moving forward. But I agree. I do agree that they need to make a move eventually if it does not work out this year. I think that, in a perfect world, I think that Pat Narduzzi would like to go out on a high note, a really good season, and go on his own terms and leave the University of Pittsburgh as the second winningest head football coach in Pitt's program history. But we will certainly be talking more about that. Overall, we talked about the Pitt roster moving forward, and Eric, we haven't had an Eric's breakdown for a while, and I know you sent me these videos a long time ago to begin with. But there's a number of videos, because obviously with the new system, everything downloaded, if you can believe that.
You probably got like 100 downloads in your inbox there or something.
Oh, right? Brother. Oh, my God. It was amazing. But I looked at it, and there were a number of great plays overall that I really wanted to bring on to here that you talked about during the Georgia Tech game and the Notre Dame game, even with the way the Notre Dame game fizzled out. I'm actually going to share my screen with you guys here.
Okay. I'm going to have to get refreshed on these clips here too.
We both are. Trust me. Again, I know I'm throwing this on Eric at this point, but a guy like Eric, who is as smart as he is, played at a high level.
Already
got the NFL football. See, he's already ready. He's got the John Gruden to him right now.
That's right.
We're going to share the screen
I don't
here.
get as much tchotchke in the mail as John Gruden does, though.
You certainly. Here, we're going to look at this full play here first. Again, this is a defensive stand from Pitt here.
Yeah,
a number of things that we talk. Go right ahead. See, you already remembered it. See, it's already memory for you.
This was the tone setter, I believe. This play that the hit. I think it was Cummings coming down. I think is the reason that the QB was a little
Cruz Brookins,
first half, from Brookins. Yeah, I thought it was Cummings. My bad. Yeah, just the way they attacked the ball. Now watch. Boom.
And I bring up these plays because, one, Cruz Brookins is returning to Pitt and obviously will be a starter this year in that safety room. And it's going to be good to have him back. Braden Lovelace back there again, number 0. A number of these guys that you look good and you say, man, there's a really good opportunity for these guys to really step up.
Mm-hmm.
But a number of these plays that you look at and say, hey, really good opportunity there. We go into here. Another one here I wanted to show here. This is another play that you looked at. This was Heinzel here in the first drive of the game where, I shouldn't say the first drive. I think the second drive of the game where he throws a touchdown pass over the middle here to a tight end. We'll look at it here very quickly. And again, these are the type of throws that you want to see, Mason Heinzel continue to make this coming season. Yeah. To the tight end, numerous different angles. Eric, I'll let you take it away just from things that you want to talk about here.
Yeah, I think this is really a good demonstration of anticipatory throws where he's throwing the guy as he's coming open, and he has to throw it on time for it to hit the hole. So watch when Mason hits his back foot, right? Even though he's kind of like hopping a bit. First off, good protection.
Well,
and just watch when the ball is delivered right over the linebacker, perfect into Holmes. Because if he doesn't, or if he hesitates, that ball is going to be intercepted with that safety that's actually in the end zone right there by the tee. He has to throw that early and up and over that linebacker. Look at that. That's right there. That's good anticipatory throws. Like, in other words, you cannot wait for the receiver to be open when you throw it. You have to throw to a spot. Trust that Holmes is going to get there, which he did. And when he does, the results are this.
Exactly. And I think just you look at these throws, this is what you want to see continually next year. And I love here, it really goes to the breakdown. One of the things you'll love here, again, we'll have a number of these guys back. Obviously, Jeff Percy will be gone this season. Kendall Stanley will be back. I think he'll probably switch to a tackle or stay at a guard position, but it'll be certainly interesting. Lyndon Cooper will be gone, so you'll have 2 new guys right there. But B.J. Williams is back and Ryan Bayer is back. But one of the things you loved in this game was just the pocket. Here's what happens and what kind of success you have when you have a clean pocket. And Eric, you've talked about this before. The clean pocket just says it all. And him being able to look down the field, certainly they show it on the telestrator here on national television, over the top into the tight end. I mean, it's just beautiful.
I would go back just a little bit. I see one mistake, and this is nitpicking. Look at Boozy.
Right? Yeah, right here.
Boozy right there. What he does there, and I obviously don't know the terminology, but he has protection, and then when he doesn't have any guy in his face or leaking, he leaks. But he leaks the wrong way.
Yeah.
He leaks the wrong way. He should have went left. Like, look, because you got those guys there. What if he went left?
Yeah.
No, I don't know if the protection requires him to go that way, but to me that looks like a mistake, but that's nitpicking.
Yeah, and all this open space over here, he goes to the right side, which kind of falls into where they're passing it off, but also, too, him going right allows him, this linebacker here, to now look at Boozy, a potential option to drop it off, but then he hands right over top.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he could have, maybe that's the case. Maybe he was designed to go that way to hold the linebacker, so you might be right there.
Yeah. Another play here. We'll look at this one here real quick. A number of these plays, again, just Eric doing a good job of taking this during the games. Opportunity to get out of space here, get open, find a guy right here, do span over the middle of the football field.
Yeah, this is the torquing of the body of Mason. Just being able, good job by Deuce to sit down, but watch Mason's body. This is not an easy throw. This is baseball throws. He throws across his body into a spot, and then Span does a great job of sitting there and giving him a target. But this was more watch Mason's. That's a baseball throw.
100%.
That's definitely a baseball skill set, if you will, at the quarterback position.
Just pretty crazy. The body language going across. Here you got Malachi Thomas coming over to your left. And again, your wide receiver just putting a nice little sit-down route right there. Boom. Just across his body, which is extremely tough. But to your point, Eric, look at that. Just that tight window right there, man. Again, there's just a lot of stuff here you look at and you say, man, there's a really good opportunity for Mason Heinzel to just continue and improve if he can continue these type of plays.
Correct.
Number 1 here. We'll see. There's some more here. Lovelace INT. This is still a tremendous play. We talk about the deception of Pitt to where obviously they always play for a 4-3 quarters coverage, press coverage. But when you get to these certain angles where Randy Bates, Corey Sanders, a new defensive coordinator being promoted from safeties coach. now to the defensive coordinator position. They love to bring these guys all the way up to the line of scrimmage to be able to really be deceptive to the quarterback in terms of what kind of pressure are they in, how many guys are they going to be bringing on the pressure, who's dropping and who's not. And you see in this play, I mean, boom, here's Lovelace right here. He's going to drop right into coverage here. Boom.
Yep.
Just a great play.
Yep. Nope. That's a great play by Lovelace. Probably, definitely at least the top 3 play of the year for Pitt.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that
actually 2 of them, right? 2 of them this year. It was that pick and then Boosie's long run at the end of this game. So 2 of the top 3 are definitely the top 5 plays of the year for Pitt happened in this game.
Agree. And then to your point, here again, here he is, all lining up, creating deception up front for the quarterback. Haynes at quarterback for Georgia Tech. And again, it's going to be great to have Braylon Lovelace back again. I mean, tremendous. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think he gets enough credit. His dad was a hell of a football player at Leechburg. We've certainly talked about on here. The last player before Braylon Lovelace to go to the Division I level, the Power 4 level, was his father who went to Rutgers. It's just, a long line, long lineage of great players. Just watching him drop back into coverage and just being able to pick this off. Think about it. It's 28-14. If Georgia Tech scores here, they were coming back. It would have been 28-21. I mean, it's a 14-point swing.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see Lovelace in a leadership position in a sense of showing off or demonstrating, probably a better word, his football acumen and how he runs the defense, if you will. And
you look here, to your point, he's going right here. He's going to be going right here to this receiver. The eyes are already there. He's not even seeing Braylon Lovelace right here. He's just looking right in this window right here and saying, okay, I have my guy. But then you see Lovelace pop right into it. I'm sorry, that tight end right there. Goes here into coverage. Here he comes. That tight end right here pops right there. Doesn't even see Lovelace because he's already looking there with his eyes. I mean, just a great play. Obviously, too, then look at the pressure here off the edge. You want to see more of this out of Pitt this year in terms of being more consistent. If you're able to do it, man, I think Pitt could have a lot of success. And Eric, you've talked about this numerous times. I mean, the pressure's there, but the entire time he sees him coming, he doesn't even see Lovelace because of this pressure coming off the edge here, which is Marquez Baines. We've talked about a kid who ended up being, out of UC Davis, a kid who ended up being tremendous in terms of production this year, creating those opportunities where there's pressure, and boom, you're finding those guys right there.
Yep. And definitely the clock in his head sped up because of the pressure.
And we talked about here the game winner. This is obviously the 55-yard run by Jakiri Boozy Turner to really seal the game. And I think we're going to talk a little bit about here the great run, but the protection up front in the run game you want to see more of. Great, obviously you have your running back here, tight end here, and again you have your guys split out wide. And it's all about up front and what the big guys do. It's a truly impressive, just one technique, but again, doing your job. It's that simple.
100%. Mason checks to a different. I don't know if they switched the side of the play. You saw Boozy get there, and what Boozy's really good in his young career is one cut and go. Yeah, and that's what he's good with his speed and everything too. Because that's what he is. I mean, he's just one cut and go. So I believe Mason must have changed it. He definitely changed the side of the run because Boozy shifted over at the last minute.
Yep.
Unless it's all a dummy call, which obviously I don't know. Yeah, but then watch the protection, and Boozy does a good job here as far as being a little bit patient. He doesn't hit the hole too quickly. He's patient. He sees the cut, puts the foot in the ground right there, and he's gone. And that's where Boozy is really good at it, being the home run guy. Whether it could be in a screen game or an occasional run like that. And that's where he's going to only get better. Again, the kid's a true freshman. He's only going to get better, but we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm anxious to see what he's going to do this year, complemented by the transfer Knight. Because Boozy's going to be able to stay fresh. They're going to be able to use him a little bit more. And I'll be curious to see if Boozy's in the game at the same time as Knight in some type of a package.
And then here, looking at the play call here, coaching moment here that we talked about, Pitt up 35-14. We look at the play here from the back end again. Great blitz pickup there, but blitz pickup.
Yep, got him enough. He got him enough, but I mean Mason just got to be a little bit better and get rid of the ball. But listen, you can't ask much more from a back of Boozy's size to do what he did. He did what he could there, and he cut him, which Boozy takes that guy head on, he's going to get ran over.
Yeah.
So you do what you can. You go for his knees in a sense of in the legal way, and you do that. But here's where it is like, and this is where it changed. Okay, so these were two different plays. Now I'm getting it. This is the same type of a play, but the same protection. And then they're actually able to just, I don't know if this is a hot route or if this is just designed.
Yeah,
yep.
It's right here to your point, to Blue Hicks.
Yeah.
Almost like they were expecting a lot of blitz. Again, a lot of pressure coming here. They were expecting that they drop. But again, he's wide open right there. Nobody even covering him. Right there in the zone.
Yep. Yeah, I didn't really remember that one too much. But all right, let me see here. There's a couple of these. I think some of these we were able to look at, but there's a few I think that didn't get to it. But here's what it is. There's a one in Notre Dame game I wanted to show. Let me see. It's down towards the end zone.
Maybe here.
Going the other way.
No, here.
Right there.
Rush throws.
That one right there. Or right before. What was the play before that?
Play before this one is here.
Oh, no. Scroll up. Down one. Right there. No. Up one.
Right here.
Right there. Yeah. And I think you do that one, but go back to the first play. There's at the very, very beginning of this video. Okay, maybe it was up. I think
it goes further here. It does show the other play. So it does go through here.
One? Okay, it's this one. Watch. Okay, yeah. This is the one I wanted to show you. Now, here's my thing where I said that Pitt was closer than you thought against Notre Dame. Okay, this is a ball that is the KJ up top. Now, in my opinion here, Mason rushed this about a half a second. So when you guys are watching this film, please just do nothing but watch Johnson, the receiver up top. And if you can walk this or if you let this play, I just want you to watch the receiver up top.
Play it here. If it actually does play here. There we go.
Okay. He beat him, but the ball was early. And this is one I think it rushed. Can you, if you walk it that way.
Here we go. Walk a little bit, 4th and goal here.
Yeah, watch the top. Look how early. I mean, that's a little too early.
Yeah, he's not even in the end zone yet. It's the point where he released the ball.
And there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure on Mason. But if he waits just a second, he turns and then he hits him. Then you put that on that outside shoulder, and that's probably a completed touchdown.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't do any difference in the game. Pitt's still going to lose that game. But that's what I'm talking about. There was a few plays. And I think the first play of this clip as well, too, JJ, if you run it all the way back.
Yeah.
Watch. Watch. 5 is open, but
Raphael Poppy Williams gets open right here.
Right. He's open, but he rushes the throw. Just put it on him.
He's got the protection there. There's no reason to rush this throw. He's going to get open here. He's blocking for him. If he actually allows him to hit that wheel route, to your point, he's probably open right over here.
What? It just he rushed it, and it's off target because you can see he wasn't ready for it. Poppy wasn't ready for it. So just these little things, and I think honestly, if you remember back when we analyzed this, I said that's the thing. It's the first time I saw Mason play like a freshman. And listen, credit to Notre Dame, but there was a few plays in this game against Notre Dame. They were close. They were very close, but they're not there just yet.
I agree. And there's a number of great plays in here. Looking at the comment section here. To Katura here, fans will understand until Allen Greene's work is manifested. I agree with that. But Katura, I will say, Eric has a really good point about not carrying the ball 25 times. There's not very many running backs in college football that can carry the ball 25 times. Unless they're a bigger back and can really take a beating. We kind of watched it with, even though he's bigger than him, Desmond Reed, the amount of pounding that he took, he was out the majority of the year. He was still hurt. He couldn't even play in the bowl game. Eric has a very good point about that. And again, Desmond Reed was like 5.
Boozy hate again.
I guess so. Again, at the end of the day,
not big on Boozy. Jesus.
It's
his frame.
He's not. Eric's not wrong. Boosie's 5'10". You know, he's not exactly the biggest run. He's not a Darren Hall. He's not a Quadri Olison, which, to Couture, to your point, that would be a 25 guy rush a game because when they did it. But look at the two guys going back and forth. Why would you not want them to be healthy? You know what I mean? You know, that's all. That's kind of what we're saying here. Johnson should have turned sooner in the route. Not really. I mean, it's fourth and goal at that point. It's fourth and goal. You have to get in the end zone for a touchdown. I mean, they had to get it. But luckily, though, there was a flag, pass interference to get a first down. But, Eric does have a really good point. You don't want a guy at 5'10" rushing the ball 25 times a game, especially when he's your horse. That's why Pitt brought in Lavelle Wright from Western Kentucky, who's a 6'1", 225, 230-pound back. Then you have the offset in between there where your third guy is going to be Damon Ferguson, who's a bigger guy, roughly about 5'11", potentially almost 6 foot, much more in terms of having the build to go and have that durability where he can rush the ball 10, 15, 16, 17 times a game. You know what I mean? But he's got a very good point.
Hey, for Couture as well too. I just did something really quick because it just popped in my head. Derrick Henry and his big ass averaged 18 carries a game.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean,
it's not what NFL backs do or running backs do. And Boosie, again, maybe by the time he's a junior, gets a little bit more beefed up, which I know he will. He can handle more, but he is not a feature back based off his physical prowess, and he's a true freshman.
Yes.
That's not knocking on him. Jesus.
And again, here, really good comment.
All love, though. All love.
Agree here. I agree. I love Lavelle Wright and Boosie as a combo, speed and power, baby. Yeah. Yes. And I think it's going to be really good for Pitt because, we talked about this on the show, and even I think Harry talked about it. You want to be able to have that bigger back in there. You can have that speed and agility guy up there, but you want to be able to have a guy that goes in between the tackles and really 100%. Can take that beating. 100%. Where, if I'm not mistaken, I'll have to pull it up here and share my screen eventually here. Lavelle Wright, I mean, I'll probably pull up a piece of tape on him.
We should look that up for next week.
I was going to say, I think, if I'm not mistaken here, let me see. I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. And I'm actually going to go into here because Lavelle Wright has a really good run here that he produces. I kind of want to show it here. Lavelle Wright. Let's see if I can find it here. And there's a number of other ones in here. Let's see. Right. Maybe I can't find it in here. That'd be really disappointing because it's a really good run. I retweeted it, and some Pitt fans saw it, which was a good thing. See if I'm definitely following him here. Damn, I thought I was following him. Tyler Reed. Damn, it's a really good one. I can't find it, though. Hold on, guys. I'm determined to find this one because it's a really good run.
Yeah. While you're doing that, too, I see another comment from Couture as well. Must be my number one fan here. I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why about your comment about Johnson should have turned sooner, not run 5 route into the end zone. I disagree. That is a timing route 100% of the time. That you want to run the ball, you want to run your route at least 3 to 4 yards deep into the end zone because it's called a comeback route, which you're supposed to hit your back foot and drive forward, not out. So when you drive forward, so what happens is if you run in a yard or two into the end zone, you plant your foot and you come back out, what happens is you end up catching the ball at the half-yard line and it's not a touchdown. You need to get depth in the end zone to be able to catch the ball in the end zone in that. So they have to – gosh, I hate this thumbs up thing. You have to run the route a couple yards deep into the end zone, and often it could be 4 or 5 yards to make sure you're in the end zone when you catch the ball. So that's my take on that. I've been every offense that I've seen or participated in, that's always the case.
Yeah. And again, I think there's a really good one here. Here is the new running back transfer. And again, this is a great run. And I'm just really showing how good Lavelle Wright can be within the tackles, but also being very aggressive and running downhill.
To put this game on ice on 3rd and goal. They're going to keep it on the ground. Trying to make men miss his right.
Good leg drive.
Off another tackler, and he scores.
Honestly, a little bit of a sloppy run.
Yeah.
But you know what?
That
His leg
special.
drive was good. You can tell he's strong.
Contact, bouncing ball, left, right.
Can we go back to whole? Watch his leg drive.
On ice, on 3rd and goal.
But here, right coming up right here.
Here, sees the guy right there, makes a move.
Good cut, good leg drive right here because look, he's jumping and then he gets guys on him. Legs going, keep good. That's good. Hopefully, he gets better blocking here at Pitt, but that's really good leg drive. That's a short yardage back and a really good change of pace.
Yep, and you can see here, to your point, good vision. Going outside, sees a little bit of a lane right there to the end zone, cuts right back inside. Sees another guy. You got two defenders right here. Right here. He cuts right back again, which is a really good move here. Goes back within, misses a guy here, and then again, three guys right here trying to tackle a guy right here. And he's able to deflect off of one, stays on his feet, to your point, and then boom, here's two guys right here trying to tackle him. Keeps his leg drive going and makes that last move to get in. I mean,
listen, he made chicken salad out of chicken shit right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a run.
On ice on 3rd and goal. They're going to keep it on the ground. Trying to make men miss his right. Bounces off another tackler. And he scores.
That's a hell of a run. There's not much there. I mean, that's a physical run.
I would call that something special.
Yeah, that's very special on contact. Oh, my.
I think I would call that something special.
Yeah, that's very special on contact. Bouncing ball, left, right. Got in the end zone.
Gotta love it. I mean, it's just, I think the kid has a really good opportunity to have a really good opportunity here to fill in as that number 2 guy behind Boozy. Then Speedy Tortoise, nice vision. From listening to all the new players' interviews on the Panther layer, it seems mostly all our new guys are excited to be here at Pitt, which is huge. Yes, I mean, I agree. And we're going to have some player interviews dropping this week. With everything back now, we'll be able to actually post this stuff and have you guys be able to see this. Obviously, a number of different guys we've got interviewed. We'll have Wyatt Villarreal, Angelo Renda, guys coming on here, and maybe even do even a live show with some of these guys. Lucky to have them. Obviously put out their numbers this week. Lou, 100%. Eric, couldn't agree more. Big Rel, my man, reposted the stream. Thank you, sir.
Big Rel.
Now we don't have to hand the ball off to a 5'10", 180-pound back at the goal line. Yes, I agree. I mean, it's nice to have a bigger back. Cooper should stay in priority. He had a reason to should stay in priority. He had no reason to hit the DT. I think he probably meant transfer portal maybe. Cooper, though, I think that wasn't him prioritizing us. I think we didn't prioritize him. And again, people need to understand we needed some changes up front. Do I think he should have been one of the guys? I don't agree. But, hey, we got different guys up front there. I think you could see Coretta move to the center position. Keith Govea move to the center position. We did bring in a guy who played technically a little bit of both, center and guard. I think the majority of the time he played, I believe, at the center position. I'm not mistaken, was third team all center, I think it was. At Akron, certainly brought in a first team all Ivy. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. We brought in, I don't have his name on here, but we brought him in from Penn. He'll be an offensive tackle, I'd imagine, probably left tackle. Here we go. Nintino Oliveri, 6'5", 315 pounds, 3-year starter, first team all Ivy League, will more than likely be the starting left tackle or competing for the starting left tackle this season for Pitt.
Good.
Let's see here. Philip Royal, my man, coach. You the man, brother. Appreciate you. Good footwork too. I agree. Number of great comments in here, and we'll go through this again. Let's see if I have any more good pieces of film here. I know because Eric, you sent these over, man. You spent a lot of time on this stuff, and I really do appreciate it. Let's see here. Share my screen here. I think there's one open here. Share screen. We'll go to Lavelle Wright. Again, open it here. Here's a play. I think this is going to the tight end here. We missed on this play. A really good play design. Yeah, we just missed it. It's too early. It's just hitting it a little too early there, to your point.
Yeah, that Notre Dame was full of that. I mean, that's one where there's a little bit of the they were outmanned in interior line against Notre Dame, Miami.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he should have caught. I don't know. He should have definitely caught that. I think he definitely should have caught that.
Yeah, but there's definitely a little bit of mishaps on the execution in that game too. I think so. But Pitt has they had a young offense too. So that's learning curves or learning experience for Mason, and he'll learn to be a little bit more patient in the pocket. It just comes with experience.
I agree. And to your point here, obviously Holmes will not be back this season, but it really goes into details of what Pitt will look like going into this season. You have two new guys. Carson Kent out of Oklahoma comes in. You also bring in Wyatt Villarreal, a true freshman tight end who had over 60 receptions, had over 600, 700 yards receiving. He's going to battle for time this year. I would think, for how well he played in high school. Was a first team all Texas tight end, an all state, first team all state as well. He's more than likely going to play this year as well. He'll have a big impact. The Pitt Ironworks is certainly a good place to be right now for the first 3 months of the year. If I'm not mistaken, fall camp will be starting here. I think probably in a couple weeks. If not this coming week, it'll be the next week. I think next week is when that first week of camp starts, and then they have a week off. They have a week off for spring break.
When's the spring game?
The spring game, if I'm not mistaken, should be if I can look up the calendar here. I believe the spring game is the April 11th, which I believe would be the second Saturday on the docket, because Pitt's, for people who don't know, Pitt's spring game will be a week earlier than usual because the NFL draft is coming to Pittsburgh, and they want to put everything up. So makes sense.
April 11th. Okay, April 11th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, so you are so you're right, Jay. It's got to start because normally you have, I don't know what they do now. I mean, obviously when I did this was 100 years ago, but usually you have like 2.5 weeks of practice, but they're not consecutive.
Yeah. And the point here, Gerald, Pitt averaged 32 running plays a game. No running back will ever average 25 carries per game. And a non-wing T again, Cam Cook led FBS with 22.7. So very good look up there.
Yeah, good look up, Yunzer, y'all. 100%.
Another super chat here. Thank you, sir. Hutch76K. Thank you, sir, for the super chat. Thoughts on losing Trey Putowski, freshman All-American kicker? Pitt now has Sam Hunsaker from Northern Arizona. This is a great question. I think it's actually a bigger loss than what people think because Trey Putowski was actually good. They certainly swooped in Michigan. He transfers to Michigan. They come in with a great offer. They really took our long snapper and Trey Putowski. He did a great job last season. I think there could have been a lot more graces there. I mean, he missed how many games at the end of the season there because of, I guess how many games did he miss there? 3 or 4 games because of the mono, whatever he got. I think it's a big loss. I think it's a big loss and I agree. It's a bigger loss than what people think because of that situation where he did a great job, man. Smaller guy in stature, man, but that kid, holy hell. Did they sign a 5-star kicker or is Sam the 5-star? I think it's a good question. I think that Sam might be the 5-star. That's a good point.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
If he's a 5-star, that's great because one thing I would really concern me right off the bat, JJ, Northern Arizona to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The elements are a little bit different. A
little bit different up here.
Or Acra Hines is not what it used to be because they closed that end a little bit with the additional seating. But obviously he has time to get acclimated with this. But that would be my only concern is the late season weather conditions from somebody coming from Arizona. Now I don't know where Hunsaker's from originally, but that would be my only concern.
I agree, and seeing if there's anything here. Let's see here. Carter, Speedy Tortoise, thank you. Carter is the one that is the 5-star. That is a very good point. So thank you. But Hutch, this is a very good question. I think we didn't talk about it enough. We'll probably talk more as the season comes along. But I think it is a bigger loss because we saw after he was out, we struggled, man. He was pretty much automatic for the majority of the season. And then the minute he went out, we started having major issues after that. I mean, whether it was, and the prime two examples of those games were what? Were Georgia Tech, and Miami. Those are the two biggest games. We had a number of misses. I mean, what did we miss? I think it was the Notre Dame game too. He was out for the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame goes down the field, that first drive that they get, they miss a field goal. All the momentum's back on our side, and then it just falls apart after that, obviously.
Yep.
Trey went from California to Pittsburgh. Good point. Didn't realize that either.
Okay. Well, I feel relaxed now then. Thanks, WRW.
Jake Schrader, hope you're having a great night. JJ, love you, brother. Jake, you're the man as always. Hail to Pitt. Thank you for tuning in to another episode here. We're an hour and 10 minutes in, guys. I think we kind of covered almost a little bit of everything. We did football, basketball. I don't see any more super chats in here. Eric, is there anything you want to touch on before we no one said he was a back. No one said a back is going to or has to run 25 times. The point is Boozy can. He had 20 carries for 200 yards in that Georgia Tech game. He's a featured back in the offense. Yeah, I mean, he is, but you still don't want him running that many times. I mean, he obviously had a 50-yard run, the 55-yard run there at the end. I agree. He's a featured back. But we've also seen other running backs that have carried that many times at his stature and they get hurt. To your point, Katura, we are saying, though, he's a legitimate back. He's a major, major piece to this offense. But would you agree that we don't want him carrying the ball 25 times? 15 to 20, 15 to 18 in that range is really good because we can't have him get hurt. If he gets hurt, I mean, the offense is really set back. So I think that's kind of the point we're trying to make to it.
Saying two different things.
Yeah.
Carrying it 25 times during a single game. Yeah. Carrying 25 times a game or per game. No.
Yeah.
No running back does that. So you're saying those are unfortunately those are two different things. Boozy, you can be a feature back and not carry it 25 times a game. Could he? I'm making this up. Let's say Pitt plays Syracuse. I'm just picking a thing, right? Could Boozy handle 27 carries in that game and lead Pitt to a victory? Yes. But can he handle 25 games 6 weeks in a row? That's what I'm saying. No, because it's not really the style of running backs, especially at his stature. And even if 5'9", 5'10", 180, let's say he gets to 185, 190, it's still not something that you want to do. You want to be able to have a complementary backs because they do it in the NFL now because the athletes are just too good, too big, too strong, and that wear and tear in your body. Because also what you want to do with Boozy is you want to get him 3 to 5 catches a game or so out of the backfield on screens and things like that too. So that's what I mean by the 25 carries a game. It is not a dig on Boozy at all. At all. He can do it 25 carries in a game. It's just not consistently because like Yunzer was saying, nobody's doing that. But he could still be the feature back. It's done in a different way in this day and age in the game.
Absolutely agree. Now that you're clarifying your statement. Okay, so at least we're all on the same page now. We're
all on the same page. We can all have a beer and be kumbaya now. Appreciate it.
I'm glad we're all on the same page now.
By the way, he still went the wrong way on that little blitz or that little wheel route there, but I don't care. Maybe he didn't, but to me it appeared he did. But yeah, we're all good, brother. Nothing but love, Katura.
And again, here, both can be true. He can be the featured back, and we still don't want him to run the ball 25 times a game. Load management. Speedy Torres, very, very good comment there as well. Again, I agree, Eric. So that's good. Hey, that's the Pitt family right there. We all agree at some point in time when we take different roads to get there.
Hey, listen, I love the different perspectives. I love it, and it brings out good conversation. I never take anything personally. Not everybody's going to agree with anything I say, and vice versa. It's all good, man. Nothing but love.
That's the point of having a podcast, man. That's the fun stuff. Hearing different opinions.
I love
even if we have many different opinions, which is a really good thing. It's always good to have different opinions.
I want to bring up one thing before I think you bring up like the event or something like that. I want to do this for next week, and I love it. Hopefully Harry's feeling a little better. He comes back next week because I love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. The Trinidad going back to Ole Miss.
It's a good. Oh, go ahead.
Right. And we've heard about all of the universities losing money in the athletics because the landscapes. It's changing. I think there is a domino effect with that, and somebody who lives, breathes, eats this thing right here. I hate what it's doing to college sports and college programs, college universities. I would love to have a deep dive conversation, or at least a segment next week. Do you guys think, and give everybody a week here to do some research or bring some comments here, because I'm going to do the same. I didn't do it enough because I had too much stuff going on. You basically had a kid begging to go back to college versus he would have been I am going to really not put my hands up anymore. Versus you had a guy who probably would have been a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
Now he's going to come out next year and maybe be a second-round pick. I mean, we'll see what he does this year. I don't like this. And I have a couple reasons why, but I would love to open it up as a conversation with everybody. Do you think this is more or less, this is bigger than Pitt, right? This is just a college football, state of the college football in the USA conversation. But I thought it was very, very good. Or I'm sorry, very, very bad that he went back and basically was begging to go back.
And before we go off, I mean, he's going to make more and have less responsibilities. I agree. Let's actually dive into this a little bit. I think this is a great topic. I do want to hit a little bit of this, and we will talk about it again next week when Harry's here. More people think about this, and again, I know there will be comments, super chats, all kinds of stuff on this because we talked about it last time. But to your point, I agree. It is not good. So you have a guy, Trinidad Chambliss, who is a quarterback at Ole Miss, decides that he wants to fight to stay in college football because he's roughly going to get probably $5 to $6 million a year to stay in this final year. And it's an unprecedented time. And that kind of tells you how messed up the system is when a quarterback would rather stay in college than go into the draft and be a first-round draft pick. That's the crazy part. To me, that is a major, major question mark. And I agree. I don't think it's good for the sport. And I've also said before, guys in college should not be making more than guys in the National Football League. They're professionals. That is the biggest thing for me that's just absolutely mind-blowing on a number of different levels. And we've talked about it before on here. Gary Landfield says here, did you see the two goofs who do the Big Mountain podcast 2 weeks ago, and they had a show titled Pitt is Broke, 10 minutes on how Pitt is going to disband all Olympic sports due to lack of money. I did not see that. First off, why they're talking about Pitt, I have no idea why. I guess talking about it, I did not see that podcast on there. Is Pitt broke? No. I mean, obviously, we were broke. We wouldn't be paying players. We wouldn't be doing half of the things that we're doing right now. I don't know. I mean, heck, at the end of the day, guys, people need clicks. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see all of it, but
yeah. And by the way, and when we talk about this, I am in no way blaming him going back to Ole Miss, right?
Yeah.
Although I don't like it, and if I was an NFL GM, that would be and what you guys was somebody in the comments I saw say it. More money, less responsibilities, right? As an individual, I don't fault the player Chambliss for doing that, but as an NFL GM, that would be a red flag for me.
Yeah, I mean to want to go back to college,
it'd be a red flag.
Yeah, instead of wanting to go to the NFL and make millions of dollars and then go play in the highest league possible in the world is truly a question mark, to say the least. It's very different.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I would love for it to be like an open dialogue for next week. I think it'd be a really cool conversation.
I agree, and to Gary too. I think that Pitt talked about there's a rumor out there about disbanding maybe the track and field team. I mean, that's one team that they're possibly looking to cut, but not all sports. I don't know where they're getting that report from. I did not see any of that. I'll have to reach out and see what the reporting is on that, or why they're suggesting that, because that has never been reported anywhere around here. It's very strange to make that accusation. Chambliss is the Ian Snell of NCAA football.
I saw that. That was funny.
Yeah. Although it's go ahead, Eric.
No, I was going to say, because I saw a comment there by Couture about a cap on the NIL. I 100% agree. It's going to be very hard to do that, to put a cap on that, because I do think, in my opinion, I could be wrong on this because I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I believe the only way that they do that is the players have to become employees of the university, or there is an oversee of a commissioner, and maybe that's something that's coming in like 2030 or 2031 when all these TV contracts, come out.
I agree to your point there, Eric, too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree to your point there. They either have to become employees, or the other option is, and when they become employees, you have to go to court and get the Congress to say, okay, you can't have any more lawsuits. You can't have any more of these issues where, these, antitrust laws are being broken to where you have to just sue the university every single time. You have to go to Congress, get something done to work inside with them being employees, or the other one, you collectively bargain. It's that simple, like the NFL, where there are a set of rules. Here are the rules. You guys agreed to it. We've agreed to it. You can't sue us because we're all going to follow the same rules.
Yep,
so
100%. But I do agree. Some type of a cap needs to happen, though, or else it's going to get out of control.
I agree. And that leads us to the final topic, really, I guess the final thing to talk about tonight. And it is truly going to be fun again. And the first event, the celebrations event, was so cool, meeting how many of you guys had 70-plus people there, which is a lot of fun between me, Eric, and Harry, and getting to meet former players, getting to meet a bunch of you guys who follow the show, which is truly impressive and incredible. Awesome. That leads us to the Pitt event number 2, and that is going to be February 28th from 2 to 5. Again, it's Celebrations Bar, Banquet, and Grill, the same place. Truly great people. And one, I love to be able to help out small business owners who, one, support the University of Pittsburgh, support our podcast, support each one of us, the Talking College Football. Now, Celebrations is now a proud sponsor of the Bird Cave with Eric, which is truly impressive, and he'll talk a little more about that. But just, anytime you have about a small business in this, in Pittsburgh, what can you say no to? So again, we get to have this here again, February 28th from 2 to 5 p.m. Instead of 2 hours, we'll have 3 hours this time on a Saturday. Celebrations Bar, Banquet, and Grill. This is the official announcement. I mean, technically the official announcement was on the Bird Cave, which was pretty awesome. We are on the Bird Cave. I suggest if you've not done so, like and subscribe to Bird Cave as well and jump on there. But we got ourselves an event, again, February 28th, 2 to 5 at Celebrations Bar, Banquet, and Grill. We will certainly have a lot of people there again. We've already gotten confirmations from a number of former players from the past, from the Dave Wanstead era, who will be in attendance there at that event.
You had me for a minute. I thought you were about to say Dave Wanstead was coming. You had me there for a quick second.
Oh, dude, yeah. Dude, that'd been something. I'll tell you what, I may reach out to him and just DM him and say, hey, we're having a Pitt event. We're having alumni there. We'd love to have you there. I would be shocked. He probably would show up. I'm not going to lie.
He would. He'd come back and probably crack a few beers with us, man.
He probably would. But that is the event, January 28th. We will see you guys then. As always, guys, Eric, where can they find you?
Yeah,
on all your socials.
Absolutely. Obviously, just like in handle there at Bird Cave on the Twitters. Follow the Bird Cave on YouTube. Our channel is growing. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting there. It took us a while to get started, but we're going to get there. So if you haven't already, go over, hit the subscribe button, and follow everything what we do with the Steelers. And we have an interesting conversation, GB and others tomorrow. There was an interesting graphic that came out after the Super Bowl that ranked the top 10 or top 8, I believe, championship defenses since 2000. And in my personal opinion, they didn't do enough research, and they got the order wrong. And we're going to explain what our order is. Slight bias in some of it, but I'm going to back it up with some factual stuff. It's going to be a really cool conversation, as well as we're going to give you our free agent targets that we believe the Steelers should go after this year. And like JJ was saying, too, the Celebrations Bar, Banquet, and Grill. Alex is a personal friend of mine, obviously with JJ, is sponsoring the Bird Cave, and we're going to be doing our own events there. And we're just trying to play some calendar logistics, if you will. We had one planned for the 29th of March, but that's not going to work. We're trying to do something around March, right before baseball season, where we're going to play Jeopardy, where we call Jeff Berge. 3 lucky people are going to come in. We're going to pull names out of the hats. They're going to come up and actually play a game of Jeopardy for some prizes. And I'm telling you guys, the prizes are not like an appetizer and a beer. There's going to be some legit prizes for the 3 people that are playing, and then well as random questions throughout the night for some prizes. It's going to be the most interactive version of Jeopardy that you will ever see. My man,
Couture, there we go.
Man, appreciate you. But the most interactive game of Jeopardy you will ever be a part of. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping JJ can make it as well. Harry, it's going to be great. But once we get a date, I will have everybody. I'll obviously announce that here, as obviously on our show on the Bird Cave, and hopefully people come out for that, and many more to come down the road.
Well, of course, as always, make sure you like and subscribe to the Bird Cave. Guys, if you've not done so here, we're on the road to 2,000. So like this video right now to help with the algorithm. Subscribe to Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen as we're back finally every single Sunday. We will have a live show every Sunday. We'll be dropping shows now during the week talking about all ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and SEC content, everything that's happened around in college football, coaching hires, transfer portal, conference realignment, and we'll certainly have player interviews coming up in the coming week. Guys, cannot thank you enough for tuning in to another episode of Talking College Football with JJ Kitchen. As always and forever, hail to Pitt. And remember, the fee. Don't be a host. Share the show. Guys, again, as always and forever, see you guys next time. Again, hail to Pitt. We'll see you next time.